He's getting you into positions so that that's all it takes, so that he hits you, right? That comes from his deep body understanding. It's ingrained in him through years of intentional training, right? So what does that mean as far as technique? When I'm training, Cedric, when you're training every week, can you say to yourself, this week, I'm really going to try to work on using my eyes and my hands to see how many opponents I can get to drift up and left. So when I'm lining up, I'm just trying to get that reaction. I'm training myself over and over and over again to see if I can get that reaction. Maybe from a more advanced fighter, it's easier to get it because he's actually paying attention to me. Maybe I'm fighting a brand new person and it's actually hard to get the reaction because they have no idea what's going on. But you're training yourself, right? You're training a specific matter of technique so that you master it. And it's just that. No one even knows you're doing it. Maybe I'm training to see if I can get drop bottom shield edge to curve over. You know, just maybe my eyes drift. Boom, and his shield moves over. You walk away, go, victory. Doesn't matter whether he just hit you. You walk away. I caused you to do what I wanted you to do. That's advanced training. Okay? So I don't want to spend a lot of time in technique because that's what you're learning out here. These guys are showing you ways of doing things. Great! There are 10,000 ways of doing things. My theory is you got a toolbox. You open a toolbox. You want as many tools in that box as you can squeeze into it. Because you don't know what that fight's going to require. Maybe that fight's going to require the hammer. Maybe it's going to require these pliers. Whatever the tool is, you want to have it. If you're one of these guys that shows up to the job site and you go, I have this tool, I have this tool. That's great, you're welding. You know? So my theory is put as much in there as you can get. Maybe some of them are your favorite tools, but they're all in there. And over the years, you consistently work on those tools and those techniques in a conscientious way so that they become deep body known, no thought reactive techniques, right? And each of us, the number of those things that we can all hold is different. Some people it'll be 3 or 4. Some people it'll be 12, 15. Some people will be, you know, baby geniuses and this stuff will just flow out of them. But it doesn't matter how many. So moving past technique, because this was not the goal of this class. We wanted to talk about those three things. Perfect your armor. Get in fighting shape. Perfect your technique. And you say to yourself, because I said to myself, when the man said it to me 15 years ago, well, that seems like enough. No. Because the final part is the victorious mind. What are the steps to a highly effective combat psychology? And here's where we get into the nasty bits. All right, so let's go over this. Step number 1, honesty. Getting real about yourself and about your fighting. Being real about your actual ability. This is a measurable metric. Are you consistently losing? To whom do you consistently lose? Are you competitive with the young belts? How do you fare against the knights in your area? This is a measurable metric and you know it. You may not want to face it, but you know it. And if you honestly take a step to do that painful self-review and look at that, then you're on the first step to getting past the problem. If it is a problem. Maybe you're absolutely happy with where you are in all of those things. Right? So, honestly, being real about your actual abilities with yourself. Once you've got that in place, okay, being real about your effort. Get real and dedicated about your armor and your training. There are no great fighters who became great by accident. Okay? So you've now got a real grip on what you actually are in regards to our fighting culture. Now you need to get a real grip on your effort. How many guys have we known who said, I can't, someday I get knighted. And you're that guy going, dude, you are so far, you're not even in reality. You're not connected to what's really happening. You can see it, but he can't. Because he's bought his own delusion. We all get delusional. I know exactly where I am. I know that I am not where I was 6 months ago. And I know exactly why. And I know the route to overcome that problem. Right? So, getting real about your ability and getting real about your effort. This is the number one thing that I see from guys who are not progressing, from fighters who are not progressing. Every single time I look at them and review them and I say, why is he not progressing? It's almost always because they are delusional about their effort. Almost to a T. They're not actually doing what they think they're doing. Either they've bought their own press, or they've bought the press of someone else, or they don't want to actually look at the work required. But if you are going to get real about this, and this is the first step to growing to real prowess, you have to own this. You have to say, okay, I'm in this shithole spot because I'm not doing what I need to do. Right? That's super important because let me tell you what's going to happen in real terms. Two more points about honesty. Knowing when you're wasting your time and slacking off. Coming down in effort from time to time is okay and can actually be recuperative. But you need to know when you're in slacking mode. And you need to be able to turn it on instantly. Being willfully non-competitive is detrimental to your long-term prowess. Let that sink in. Being willfully non-competitive is detrimental to your long-term prowess. If you can step onto the field and willfully say, I don't really care, you're not going to become a dominant force on the field. And that's what we're talking about. Because I firmly believe every single person has the potential to become as good a fighter as many of our knights and even some of our dukes. Every single one of you have that capacity. So, because no one here gets an excuse. Because the excuse is overcome by your effort. And if you want to learn something about that, go to Facebook and look up a guy named Derek Beaton. He's a one-legged veteran who deadlifts 453 pounds and does CrossFit with one leg. So your excuses are not valid. They're just not. And that's a part of that being real. Okay, fine. Here's the key. If you're okay with where you're at, fine. Own that. Say, hey, I'm pretty okay with being a recreational fighter. I like going to melee events, I fight a little bit, I like doing some tournaments here and there, I'm cool. But if you're one of these delusional people who says, I want to be this someday, well, you need to own all of that from here to there. Own it, right? Because you don't get to say you want to be that and not do any of this. You don't get to do that. Not in my world, you don't. Maybe in your world, and maybe that's why you'll stay in your world. Maybe you'll say, I don't like talking to that Gunnar guy, or that Palomar guy, or those guys who tell me this, because I don't want to hear that. Okay. But when you get called out on the heroic bridge with me, and I show you with the end of the stick why you're not what you think you are, you're going to know why. And that's not bravado, that's fact, because I'm real about what we're trying to do. And here it is. Let's be real about the system. There's bullshit built into our system. Alright? Yes, calibration can be an issue, but it's only a hurdle, not a roadblock. And I'm going to give you an example. In my last crown that I fought to and finaled in, there was a certain fighter that I had to face, and I called him the Thick. Because in my mind, again, this is my perception, my judgment, I had seen a pattern over a number of years that I knew it was going to take some serious thunder to get past this hurdle in my process to try to win the crown. But it's just a hurdle. That goes into these next points. Even with that bullshit built into our system. You know why it's just a hurdle? Here it is. Being real about your opponent. This is being honest about knowing your opponent is better than you. There are times when you have to recognize that the person facing you is superior than you are. However, even in the face of that, you must cling to the quote, but. Branos is better than me, but I have beaten him before. I can beat him here if I am perfect or if he makes a mistake. You see, there's a difference between being honest and being a defeatist. This is really important and it grows into the next section. When I am facing the thick, that's okay. I just have to be perfect. And I can be. Maybe not all the time, but I can be today. Maybe you're in that tournament and you go, God, this guy is good. You know, I know he's good. I know he is actually technically better than me. He's faster. He's stronger. Am I defeated? No, because I just have to have a perfect fight. He just has to mess up. Right? So you have that hope there, and that's part of what comes into the next section. But before I move on, I want to talk about this real quick. Honesty. Have we communicated what honesty is in training now? And every single one of us, this includes me, and I guarantee you it includes many of our Dukes, we're all convicted by this level of honesty. All of us. We are all convicted. Your Grace?
I just wanted to add to what you were saying about having to be perfect. A phrase that clicked with me in the last few years is, your opponent, your success isn't based on your opponent's skill. Okay? The only thing that your opponent brings to the fight is the amount of error that you're allowed to have. When you're facing a newbie, you're allowed to have a lot of error and still be successful. When